students, today I shall discuss about the electronic configuration and the related terminology here. So first of all, see, you have read about the Bohr's model of atom. So from there we can understand that inside the atom there are some permitted paths like the K cell, L cell, M cell, N cell, etc. And their capacity also we know. And it has been said that K cell has a definite capacity of holding electron, then comes L cell, then come M cells, then come N cells, K, L, M, N. Now, here, see, while we will be writing the electronic configuration, we should remember one thing that is known as the octet rule. What is the octet rule? It said that an atom having 8 electrons in the outermost cell gets extra stability, so that an atom in its outermost cell cannot hold more than 8 electrons. Okay, so actually from the atomic number we will get the number of electrons present in the atom. So now the distribution of the electron has to be considered. See, suppose an atom is having a 17 electron in the outermost cell. So according to the energies consideration, K cell has the capacity lowest energy and this capacity 2. So first it will take 2, then L cell it will take 8, and the remaining electron will be going to the M cell. M cell will have the 7 electron out of 70. Like that we have to write the electronic configuration. Then another thing. So if we consider the 90 electron atom, so first K cell will take 2 electron, L cell will take 8, M cell will take 8, and the N cell also will take 1. Why not 9? See, we know that the capacity of M cell is the 18, so it can take the 9. But the octet rule said that an atom cannot hold, an outermost cell of an atom cannot hold more than 8 electrons. So see, if you give here 9, so the N cell will be the outermost cell, that will violate the octet rule. So as to violate the octet rule, so it will take 8 and then N cell will be 1. Similarly, if you consider the atom which having the 20 electron, so K2, L8, M also 8, and the N2. If you give it here 10 electrons, so this will be the outermost cell, and this outermost cell cannot hold more than 8 electrons in the atom according to the octet rule. So that's why, see, while we are writing the electronic configuration, we have to remember the octet rule also. Next time coming here, that the stability. See, the atom which actually gets 8 electrons in the outermost cell, that gets stability. Now if we consider here the sodium atomic number is 11. It means that there are the 11 proton and 11 electrons are present. So these will be distributed like this: K2, L8, and then M1. K2, L8, M1. Okay, K2, L8, M1. So now this, see, that means outermost cell is having only 1 electron. So as it is having 1 electron, so if it can release this 1 electron, so that the remaining electronic configuration will be K2, L8. Okay, so that means it will get stability. Now see, by losing 1 electron, sodium will be converted to what? Sodium plus, Na+, K2, L8. Okay, now that means, see, which one is more stable, Na plus or Na? Obviously Na plus is more stable than Na. Now from the electronic configuration, we can calculate the valence of an element. The valence of an element can be calculated from the fact that how many electrons it is losing to get stability, that would be its valence. And also the how many electrons will be added to get stability, that also will be its actually stability. Now chlorine, let us take that the chlorine, K2, L8, M7. So in this case, see, it can get stability either by losing this 7 electron or by gaining one more electron. But the gaining of the one electron is much more easier than that of the losing of 7 electron due to the energy conservation. So as it will take one more electron, so it will get stability and its valence will be 1 or the minus 1 as it is gaining the electron. So that's the simple trick is that after writing the electronic configuration, look at the outermost shell. If the number of electrons is 1, 2 and 3 as well as the 4, so that its valency directly will be 1, 2, 3 or 4 depending on the number of electrons. And if it is 5, so subtract it from the 8 to get the valency of that element. As well as if it is 6, subtract it from the from 8 to get the valency. Okay, like that way we can calculate the valency of an element. Now we will be discussing here about the atomic number. Atomic number means number of proton present in a nucleus of an atom is known as the atomic number. And then mass number means the total number of proton and the neutron present in a atom is known as the mass number. See, the significance of atomic number is that atomic number equal to number of proton. As the atoms are electrically neutral, so the number of electron also will be same like that of the proton. Now let us consider here that the sodium, it has the atomic number 11. It means that there are the 11 proton and as well as the 11 electrons are present. 11 proton and 11 electrons are also present. So this is the things that we need to know. Now, how an element can be represented? Let us take X is an element. X is an element. And its atomic number is Z. So Z will be represented here. And then if we consider that its atomic number is A, so A should be represented here. That is this, in this form, or also sometimes we can write it as the ZXA. This means this is the mass number, and this is the atomic number. This is the atomic number. Or this was sometimes called the atomic mass. So what is the relation between the atomic number and the mass number? Atomic number J plus number of neutron, it will be the atomic mass A. Z plus N equals to A. That means, see, if we know the mass number as well as the atomic number, we can calculate the neutron number N. Z is the atomic number, N is the number of neutron, and A is the mass number. So we know that the atomic number and the neutron number total it will give the mass number of an element. So now come here. What element that is represented like this? 17 Cl35. It means that the 17 is its atomic number. So how many protons are there? Total 17 protons are there. And then how many electrons are there? Obviously number of proton and number of electron will be equal 17 electrons. And then how many neutrons are there? So 35 minus 17 it would be the 18 neutron. Okay. So from here also we can actually find out the valency of the element. So what it will be? K2, L8, M7. Now, see, look at the outermost shell. Having 7 electrons, so one more electron it need to get stability. So its valence will be 8 minus 7, 1. So from this representation we can calculate the number of proton, number of electron, number of neutron, as well as I can write the electronic configuration and valency. So remember it. This is the representation of an element, and this represents the atomic number, this represents the mass number of an element. Now, what are called the isotopes? This is the last topic of this chapter, that is the isotopes. Isotopes means this is the atoms of the same element which have the same atomic number but different mass number. The atoms of the same element which have the same atomic number but different mass number is known as the isotopes. Just let's see, we have the isotopes like isotopes of the element of the hydrogen like 1H1, 1H2, 1H3, etc. Now 1H1, see, this is known as the protein. How many protons are there? 1 proton, and mass number is actually 1 means there is no neutron. 1 minus 1 will be 0. And see, that means it is difference arises with the different neutron number. This is known as the deuterium. Deuterium it contains 1 neutron, and the tritium it contains 2 neutron. Okay, so now see that the isotopes are the atoms of the same element which have the same atomic number but different mass number. Now, due to the presence of the isotopes, the elements may have their average atomic mass or the fractional atomic mass. Let us try to explain these things. You know that the chlorine, it has the atomic mass 35.5. Why the chlorine has the atomic mass 35.5? Because of the reason is that chlorine, it exists in the two isotopic form, and that their percentage of abundance is also different. So from that we are calculating the average atomic mass, and when we are calculating the average atomic mass, its mass is coming in fractional atomic mass. Now let us consider these things, that the chlorine, it has the two isotopes in the nature. One is the 17Cl35, another is the 17Cl37. Now the 17Cl35 and 17Cl37, this exists in the isotope means nature 75%. And how much this is? This exists as the 25%. Now again see what happened here, that let's see, when we will be calculating the atomic mass or the average atomic mass, the 75% atomic mass will be coming from the chlorine 35. That means we have to take the 35 into 75 divided by 100 plus, and the 25% of this atomic mass of chlorine 37 will come out here. That means it will be here 37 into 25 divided by 100. Now let us take that. If we calculate this one, then it will be coming here 35.5 U. So see, as the elements exist in the isotopic form and that isotope's percentage of abundance in the nature is different, so that we are getting the fractional or the average atomic masses. Now, another point to be noted here, isotopes are chemically similar. The question is that why the isotopes are chemically similar. Isotopes are the atoms of same element which have the same atomic number. As the atomic number same means in all the isotopes or all the isotopic atoms, the number of valence electron will be same, and you know that the chemical properties of the elements are determined by their valence electron. So as see, all the isotopes, although they have the different atomic mass, but they have the same atomic number, means they have the same number of valence electron in their outermost shell, so that they are chemically similar. Their chemical properties are similar. Now, the isotopes have the physical properties different, because physical property depends on the atomic mass, and the isotopes have the different atomic mass, so that their physical properties are different. Now let me explain one thing. There are some isotopes which have the in use. Some of the radioactive isotopes are there, just like the uranium-235. It is used as a fuel in nuclear reactor. Again see, cobalt-60, this is used for the treatment of cancer. Iodine-131, that also used in the treatment of a disease like the goiter, etc. So these are the things that these are the some of the uses of the radioactive isotopes. Now, so about the isotopes I have discussed here, about the electronic configuration also I have discussed here. I hope that these things will help you to understand these two topics, and I hope this will benefit you. And if you think that it is benefited to you, so like, subscribe and comment in this video also, and also do share this video with your friends if you like it. That's all. Thank you.